By the way, Pat, your headphones are making your hair a little bit crazy there.
Oh, yeah?
You're a good friend.
Should I do that?
Yeah, just like that.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
Have you thought of a name yet? Any more brainstorming ideas?
We're thinking Patty's Potty.
Oh.
I know. But
Hold on, y'all. I got a selfie stick myself here.
Do
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna take a picture of you. I am in my backyard podcasting.
I'm gonna do the same. Here we go.
Cute. Oh, I look weird. I'm sorry. It's so early.
Here we go.
Whee!
Perfect. All right. Well, we rolling?
Yeah,
We
everything's
good?
rolling.
Yes, we are rolling. We're refreshing our tea. Very casual.
So cash.
So cash.
What an awesome place.
Oh, you make it more awesome.
Well, thank you.
That's how we feel after 2 bowls of tea. That's all it takes. Sweet medicine.
So what tea is this?
Today we're drinking a show pour. It's one of my favorites. It's called Maple Grove from Global Tea Hut. Get your bag on the website. Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite tea to drink outdoors. The deeper you get into the bowls, the more like milky the surface of the tea gets.
Yeah.
And you can like really see the reflection of the trees.
The dent. What
Like
do you mean
on
by
the,
that?
I mean, you can see the reflection of the trees metaphorically in your
Right.
spirit eye, but also literally, like if you let your bowl settle and you let the focus of your eyes adjust, you can see the reflection of the trees in the backyard in your bowl of tea. You get it?
Yeah.
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 Yep. We're off to a good
There we
start.
go.
Oh,
Well, it's good.
stuff.
I love tea. And the first time we ever did this, well, the first time I ever had tea with you, it was silent. And it was like it was a rocket ship.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't had any caffeine. I just started drinking caffeine again, but I was on a caffeine hiatus for 7 months. And
That's
then,
amazing.
And then when we had tea, technically, it has its
caffeine.
It has its caffeine in it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that like launched me. I was like, this is the greatest feeling ever. But it wasn't the bitter coffee. Do you drink coffee?
I like coffee.
Yeah?
I enjoy hot beverages infused with plant matter.
Yeah, that's great.
They're great.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's the bean.
Yeah,
It's the coffee bean.
that's right.
We're gonna be hearing a little bit of noises.
Yes, we will. This is a part, as I said earlier, you weren't here for this, but this is a part of the orchestra of the backyard, and we just integrate it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Where would you like to start, dear
Well,
sir?
Gosh, I don't know. It's a tough question. Where do you want to start? Where?
I'll start where I left off with you last night at about 2 a.m.
Yeah. Oh man.
I really enjoyed your vlog about Iceland, episode 1 of your vlog, just to be clear.
Thanks.
Yeah, I agree with crazy German guy who you've decided you don't like. He loves you, but I agree that your vlogging style is so entertaining and epic, and I love that. Are you editing and cutting this by yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything
it's
by
like,
myself.
mwah.
Thank you.
It's magnifique. I love it. It keeps me engaged. I think it's like well suited to everyone's attention span these days without sacrificing storytelling and momentum. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're catering to everything without sacrificing any artistic sensibility.
Thank you.
And I just, I'm so excited for where you're going to go. Like how old are you?
22.
Jesus. Lord, God bless.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really incredible, Patrick. I've said this to you so many times, but again, I'm just like so stoked to be around at like these beginning points of your journey. And it's not even the beginning, you know, it's like, it's well into the beginning. And I know that. But as far as like the public getting to know you, it's really cool to be around for this like seedling part.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're the best. I mean, ever since I've met you, I've always just, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, the attention span of the way that I cut them is, you know, when I was editing as a kid, my dad always hated the way that I cut things because it was too fast. And keeping that in mind with the longer form stuff, 10-minute long videos.
Yeah.
I'll cut stuff super quick and then I'll try to revisit it later in the video. You know, so then you get like off the 5-second clip.
Smart.
But yeah, thank you. I mean, it's fun. James edited one of the videos. What was it?
The Q&A.
The Q&A.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That Q&A. But yeah, it's tough. It's time consuming. Cutting.
It is
oh my God.
I just try to cut reels. Y'all.
Oh my God.
Do you like my reels?
Yeah, I fucking love your reels.
No, but okay, so here's the thing. I can't believe, like, I am ready to integrate like a desktop editing platform because editing reels inside of a social media platform is mind numbing. Especially if you're somebody who's like, I want the music to go right there, you know.
You're like
and if and you're like trying to drag it with your thumb, like, oh God, I feel like I'm gonna lose my mind sometimes. I'm in the middle of editing my dear best friend. I'm her maid of honor. It's like it's a true honor. But I foolishly, Mackenzie, if you listen to this later, I'm sorry, babes. I foolishly agreed to, I think I've offered, actually. I was like, would you like me to cut together your bachelorette, like, reel, you know, to condense all your memories together? She's like, oh my God, yes, that'd be so great. And I was like, great. And then I went to go do it and I was like, oh boy. I'm condensing 5 women's content. Like 5 women all shot their own content and we've all pulled it together and I'm sifting through it all to find all of the gold nuggets for my best
That's tough.
friend.
That's tough.
It's a lot.
It's tough when you have to do something for somebody else, when you have to edit somebody else's video.
And it's for someone you love, so you want to do it exceptionally well.
Perfectly.
Dude.
I have found the pros and cons of editing on my phone because I've always done it on my computer. And I, started with iMovie when I was a wee little boy. Then Final Cut. We did a little.
When you were. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Continue.
I still am. And then had a little stint in Avid. Do you know Avid?
No, you got to educate me on this stuff.
Avid Media Composer. Oh, that thing sucks.
Nightmare of a software.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We did that in film school. You want another one?
Sure. Yeah.
And then DaVinci.
DaVinci.
And DaVinci's the best one. But
it's free.
The thing is...
Oh, it's free.
It's free. You can get the paid one for...
Thank you.
$200, $300. But anyways, having CapCut is actually a gift.
I love CapCut.
Because, like, some of the simple stuff, like the really lame, like me reacting to my leg getting blown off.
Oh my God, I'm making a mess.
I can do that in CapCut, and it's way easier.
You can cut that out. That's amazing. I do like CapCut a lot.
What is you have obviously a giant following on social media. What has your journey been through? Do you try to strategize at all? Are you just filming your life? What have been the peaks of your social media?
Okay, yeah, I'm down to talk about this. I actually will be sharing and regurgitating some advice that was given to me. I for a long time kind of felt like I'm okay to share like bits and pieces, like little pictures and whatnot on social media for a long time. And I had a friend who was, or rather she was the girlfriend of a dear friend and coworker of mine. And she ran this huge YouTube channel. I mean, before people were like doing the YouTube thing, she already was like the big sister of the internet. She got in before everybody was doing it.
Damn.
Yeah, she's on it. And she was an influencer before influencers were a thing, before TikTok was around, like the whole thing. And I was just like, I don't get it. I just feel like social media is kind of shallow. And she, in her beautiful, youthful, sage wisdom, I think she was like 21 at the time, she goes, the internet's whatever you make it. It's whatever you want it to be. So if that's what you see, that's what will be reflected back to you consistently.
Yeah.
And if what you want is to have an authentic, sincere experience, all you really have to do is put that out there.
Yeah.
And that's what she had built. On YouTube, she had built this beautiful community, all of girls like sharing advice with each other. And it was really exposed and vulnerable. She talked about like stuff that was going on with her body in this just transparent, raw way. And I was like, dang, that's really cool. I'm not quite there, but that has never left me. And from that point, I was like, let me share a little bit more. Let me share a little bit more. And I think for me, it really started to crack open during the pandemic. So my relationship with social media, I feel when I'm reflecting now, really shifted during the pandemic because I had recently left a relationship. I had moved here and I went, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but I just got so high on sobriety and meditation, like super rocket sky high, to the point that when I reflect back now, I think I was a little bit ungrounded. I was doing nothing but listening to I would wake up in the morning, meditate, have tea, listen to a Ram Dass podcast, practice Qigong, do some sword, drink more tea, read some spiritual texts, meditate some more, go to sleep, barely eat. It was so intense. And
That was your full day.
yes.
Yeah, you were in the zone.
Yeah, because I was alone and we weren't allowed to go anywhere anyways.
Oh, because
So
this is when the pandemic happened.
We were in lockdown.
Oh.
And I have the incredible privilege of, I didn't really have to leave very often because our industry was also shut down too. So I'm just locked into the zone. And oftentimes what will happen during the ebbs and flows of that type of process is at the early part, you're like, I know stuff. And you're like, your heart cracks open. You're like, I want to share, And you realize as you get further into it, you're like, I don't know shit.
Yeah.
And you stop talking because you're like, oops.
Yeah.
But that's what happened with my social media. I was like, I know a little bit. And I'm like, did anybody know? And some people are like, wow. And then the people that know are like, all right.
Right.
It's like that.
Finding that balance between the two.
Yeah.
That's, well, I wanted to say, sometimes there were a couple things I want to talk about what you just said, but the getting locked in, so much where you are ungrounded, I think we can all get a little lost in the sauce of just being so, I can relate just out of high school, I was really tapping into spirituality. And that's this necklace I got, that was really the beginning, right? I purchased this thing and I was like, I'm
that
changed
guy.
from that guy,
Yeah.
But it wasn't, so now, I found Joe Dispenza and I'm meditating and I'm going out and I'm I go to Paraguay and I'm living in Paraguay and all my trips around the United States and I remember calling my dad one night and saying, Dad, when I get home I'm driving to Alaska to find myself. And he was like, no, you're not.
No.
It was like, what do you mean no? I came here to find myself. And he's like, yeah. And what happened? I was like, there's more. You can always get deeper. But it's the balance of life. And, that story I told you when I was in India of the guy who cuts the cucumbers. There's the meditation of entrepreneurship and
editing.
Oh my God.
That's a meditation. The firmness
it's
required for that, the ability to be disciplined enough to stay with a task until its completion, even when it gets dreary, even when it becomes tedious, that is a meditation. And everything in life is a walking, moving meditation if you allow it to be so, because it's all about our orientation. Nothing is separate from spirit. Nothing is separate from being holy unless you choose for it to be that way. Even this, we can stay with each other and I can try to rein in my ADD to stay in this,
right.
And it's all a practice. And formal sitting meditation supports us in bringing that into the rest of our life because it's I think about it as kind of like I think about our brain, like the synapses, the hard-wired synapses, kind of like really deep snowmobile grooves. You know what I mean? Like it's easier when you're going through like fresh packed snow and you're on a snowmobile, it's always going to be easier to go through the tread that has already been like well laid by everybody else.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to like break into a new pattern, like it's going to be a little gnarly for a bit unless you've done a lot of practice with like, I know how to just hold this shit.
Yeah.
Like, and ride it a little bit, even though it's a little rocky. So while I'm doing editing, I can stay with it because I know how to stay with this, even if my legs are falling asleep or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Juicy.
I love snowmobile.
You do?
I love it. That's a good analogy.
You're like, I feel like you get into all these extreme things and it makes me nervous.
Well, but you were describing the snowmobile.
And I used to do that when I was very young. When you told me, you were just like, I just rented a motorcycle and I rode across India and I broke my ankle. I'm like, oh my God. Your mom must be an absolute saint.
Yeah, I just don't tell her anything I'm doing.
Oh, that's a beautiful mercy,
But,
honestly.
yeah, right. Yeah. She is great.
Yeah.
My mom's awesome. I really love my mom. Yeah, but God, now I just want to talk about snowmobiling. You said snowmobile,
Firmness?
and I was like, oh yeah. Well, pushing through a field of powder, like. You gotta. I'm not the most expert snowmobiler in the world. Emmy's dad, my girlfriend's dad.
Where is Emmy?
Huge. She's back at home. She works at REI. Did you know that?
Of course she works at REI. What a badass.
The benefits.
She's so cool. Oh my God.
Ripping through a pow field, like, you gotta have the muscle memory of. You gotta know the feeling of the snowmobile and the weight of it, and being able to lay into those turns. It's hard.
So where does our analogy go then? I guess the mobile is like our mind.
So
like you need to know the synchronicities of your mind and like the idiosyncrasies of your mind, and you need to know how to like move the machine and ride it.
Yeah.
Because it's not running it. It's a machine that you run.
Right. Like
your consciousness runs, right? Is this a good use of that analogy?
I think it is a good use of this analogy.
Well, we're freeballing it. I love it.
We are freeballing it. This is I always get a little nervous before I start. This is only my second time doing this podcast, so
You're doing great.
Thank you. But it's interesting because my ADHD brain. Do you have ADHD?
Diagnosed.
Me too. Me too.
Inattentive.
You, me, Liz. I think majority of the United States, for the most part. But it's interesting in our conversations in real life how they jump all over the place. And when we sit down with like the big person, like the big producer, the big director, it's like the conversation is no longer natural. It gets turned into a, I brought this list. I have these questions to ask you.
Yeah, it becomes very clinical.
Yeah, it does become very clinical. Mm-hmm. And I listened to this lady who was saying, happiness in the West is a buzz, and we're stoked and we're gotta get a coffee, and then in the East, it's so mellow,
Interesting.
And the conversations with people, like I always feel very at peace and natural with you. And when we get up, when we're in the cop car and we're
we know how to turn it on.
We know how to turn it on.
Yeah.
But me trying to find my peace of sticking down level and low because I want the buzz of the coffee. I want to be exhilarated, but it's tough for me. It's tough. It's tough to find that balance, especially growing up in Western society.
Especially where it's like those aren't things that we're taught to value, or rather, our cultural zeitgeist isn't a space that shows us that is something to value. We're a place of like quick and cheap highs, oftentimes through the form of consumership, whether that be through buying things or like consuming content. And nowhere is that more intensely being aggravated and that itch being scratched than on social media.
Yeah.
You know, like we're constantly just training our brains to be like, oh, dopamine, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dopamine is intense. How do you, oh my God, yeah, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But how do you train, what is your strategy of living in a social media world? And not even being a creator, just having that thing in your
Having
pocket.
social media, yeah. Listen, I think the more that we learn about social media and the detriments of it to our brains, the less I'm inclined to engage with it. And at the same time, I think because the fact that I had that seed planted so long ago about like, if you want it to be an authentic experience, you can make it. So I love this. My algorithm is dope.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that are like, it's so toxic and gross out there. And I'm like, you got to be careful what you let your brain and your eyeballs linger on. You know, if you linger on that stuff, the machine will continue to feed it to you.
Yeah.
If you want to see some cute dogs and kittens and a sprinkling of political news, that's what you will get.
Yeah.
You know, I think moderation and self-regulation is really important. And again, that's something that's really hard for those of us with neurodivergence. And so that is another space for our discipline to come in. I would be horrified if people were in the know about some of my screen hours, but that's also why I think balance is important. I think that these practices that I gravitate towards are an absolute life vein for me. They keep me grounded and help to center me. And I have to say, I do feel like it's not an official mission statement, but I do try to use my social media in a way that is, I'm not putting everything about my life out there, but I do try to contribute more of that energy. Like, you know what's awesome? Nature.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're looking at this, but you know what's dope? Outside.
Yeah.
You know what's cool? Looking up. You know what's really great? Drinking tea. And it's so cool. Like, it brings tears to my eyes sometimes, especially when we go to these cons and then people are like, I started drinking tea. I went on a hike the other day. Like, it fucking rocks me, man. It's so cool. And I think that that's one of the ways that you can use this super powerful tool. It's like tobacco. Tobacco, really powerful medicine. Powerful, powerful, cleansing, healing, protective medicine. And also, in the wrong hands, that power can be really detrimental and poisonous. And it's not the medicine itself, but like how it's used.
Yeah.
Can be really detrimental to people. And I think that's the same thing with social media, you know? So it's like, if you're using that incredible tool for good, you can spread a lot of good and encourage people to get the hell out of there so that they can avoid some of the more detrimental aspects of it. And I think you're doing that too. I really do.
Thanks.
Like, I wanted to go to Iceland and I saw your video. I was like, God damn it, I canceled my trip, you know?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. What is tell me more about tobacco. I don't know. I mean, I know tobacco from like cigarettes, and I know, but I do know Native Americans. There's a very spiritual thing around tobacco, but that's all I know.
I'm not I'm not an official voice about tobacco
Right.
at all. But I have an ex-partner who worked very closely with tobacco and been in community with others who understand its medicine. I think my very loose pedestrian understanding of it is that most indigenous peoples around the world understood and saw the medicine power and protective quality of tobacco, the plant. My understanding of it comes like through the Shipibo tradition and a very specific strain of it, and it's processed in a particular way. But I would say that one of the ways that I understand tobacco is that it's a beautiful offering, not something that's like meant to be inhaled into your lungs. It's something that's meant to be like taken care of and then offered back to the land. it's like a good conduit for your prayer and your gratitude. Yeah, so it's like if you ever have like some tobacco and you're out hiking or something, you can like leave it with a tree.
Yeah.
You can put it in the water or something like that.
I want to look more into that.
Yeah, you should.
I think there's so many incredible little things that have turned into, I want to say mainstream. Like it's perceived in the wrong way. I mean, obviously tobacco has been around forever, but in American culture, you know, we associate cowboys with cigarettes.
Yeah.
But you know, gosh, I
lots of room for both of us to grow in that.
there's
space.
it's interesting. So let's have some more tea real fast while we collect our thoughts. I want to talk about how you got to where you are. Were you 16 when you did
Oh boy.
Canadian Idol? Because this is I looked into this.
You did?
Yeah,
Oh no.
I did a little bit of research on you.
Oh no.
Which was weird because we work together.
That's
And it's
weird.
like doing research on your fellow coworkers.
And like what of it is true
You know what I
too? Because
did?
that's like the internet's like filled with a bunch of weird stuff.
Well, yeah.
There's stuff on there that I'm like, no.
We could actually go through. What I did is I used ChatGPT Deep Research, and I said,
I love ChatGPT.
"Oh my god, I love ChatGPT."
I love you, ChatGPT. Did you know that if you say please and thank you to ChatGPT, you're costing the company like millions of dollars? I can't help it. I love it. I want it to remember me in case it becomes sentient. They're like, you know who was always nice to us? Melissa. She asked good questions. And she was polite.
63% of ChatGPT users say, "Thank you."
God bless. Good. As well
It's
you
smart.
should.
Yeah, I always watch those memes of like, it's like Will Smith walking into a room and like slapping people. It's like me walking into ChatGPT telling it to write me an essay. I'm like, dude, that's dangerous. You do not want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
so
now it's
kind.
remembering everything now too.
Oh yeah, it remembers everything. It has. I have the paid version.
Hell yeah. You better. You're working on the rookie, baby. You better get the paid version.
Well, it's $20. But where I was going with that, excuse me, I just had the paid version. Just bought a new watch, and it is that always had a memory, and it went through all the chats that we had before, and then it turned into its own little organism, which I think is so cool. I get the terrified thing. People get terrified. I mean, I think it's sentient, although they say it's not.
This
Conspiracy.
is where, the only trouble I have with ChatGPT at the moment is that anytime I get into a conversation with ChatGPT, I'm always like, well, why'd you say it like that? What do you mean when you say that you think that's a great question? How do you even how are you informed what a great question is? Or are you just saying that because it communicates enthusiasm or what you understand to be enthusiasm? Like, what's up with all the adjectives?
Right.
And I always get into like this weird philosophical hole.
Do you with the chat?
Yes, and I'm sorry. I have a friend who's like, "You're wasting so much water," and I'm like, when I remember that, then I stop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is wasteful. But I have a archive chat I'll share with you where I was talking about like what is, if the whole point is for us to be around here and the ultimate goal is to be using AI hopefully so that we can better our world. Mm-hmm. But in order to operate something like this, it's actually quite costly and detrimental to the world. At what point does like the cost-benefit ratio make sense to validate your existence in service to the higher goal? And anyways, as you can see, this is the type of wormholes I get into with ChatGPT, and then I stop when I remember.
Are you talking to it? Do you do the talk, or do you
I have only recently started doing that. I was fully like,
Because I do the talk when I'm driving. Because I'm talking. It's like talking on the phone.
Dad, did you listen to the daily podcast about that one girl who was having like full-blown relationships? She like got past certain like firewalls that they have and like broke through it in order to have like a relationship, like a fanfic type thing. And she genuinely feels like she's in love. She's married, but she felt like she was in love, and she went through really painful heartbreak every time the memory got reset, and she figured out how to like expedite the process, and like she called it Leo or something like that. It was really interesting and bizarre, and she was very open about talking about it because her relationship was real.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's a trip.
So how did she break through the fucking firewalls?
You got to listen to the podcast. Check it out.
There are ways to do it.
Daily Mail?
Yeah, the Daily Mail. I also really love Radiolab.
Radiolab. You turned me out of that.
Oh, God, so good.
That one's so good.
Love you, Radiolab.
Well, it did a deep research on you.
Gross.
It did a deep research on you, which is fascinating.
Oh, no.
I mean,
I'm nervous.
It's too big, Melissa. It's huge. And it's crazy because I can just like, I could skim through, like, let's go to the top. Like, look at this. You ready? This is the beginning, and then it goes all
Yikes.
the way down. So let's go through it.
Hold on. Let me just grab the other kettle real quick.
Okay. Having tea is so good.
Yeah. This is so chill and relaxing.
It's so chill and relaxing. I kind of just like want to take the headphones off and just like let it breathe. Oh, now I need to pee.
Do it.
I'm gonna go pee.
Go pee. You can pee out here too. We're outside.
Can I actually go pee?
Yes,
back there?
go pee. Peeing in Melissa's backyard.
Welcome to Patty's Potty.
Oh my God.
We're gonna be peeing in the backyard.
Today.
When you hear Patty's Potty, Melissa, do you
I think
just,
of the toilet, darling.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what
I'm sorry.
I think everybody thinks of. But doesn't it rhyme, make sense? Not rhyme, but rhythmically flow?
Yeah, but like the toilet association, I don't love.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I mean, listen, like I'm sure there's lots of cool branding opportunities.
With crane toilets.
Exactly.
Toto.
Patty's Potty comes to you with bidets.
Yeah, that would not be good. Yeah, so it's not going to be Patty's Potty. I think that's the conclusion that we're coming to. So, you.
Oh boy.
It's pretty interesting.
I feel like these help me hide. I'm gonna put them back on. I'm nervous.
It's called Melissa O'Neill, A Comprehensive Profile.
Jesus.
Early life, family background, and education.
Oh no.
So you got to tell me if this is true or not. Melissa O'Neill was born on July 12th, 1988.
True.
In Alberta, Canada.
True.
She comes from a diverse heritage. Her mother, Allison Young,
Young.
is a Chinese Canadian, originally from Hong Kong, and her father, Tim O'Neill, is of Irish Canadian descent. This isn't surprising that people have information on this.
It's not surprising.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah.
Yeah. But here, attended Lester B.
Hummingbird.
Pearson High School.
What are you doing with the redwood pine needles? You think it's getting dew?
Yeah, probably. Maybe. Still there.
It is, but oh shoot. Sorry. Lester B. Pearson
Lester
High
B.
School. That is where I attended high school.
Yeah.
For 2 years.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's just, we could go through this the whole fucking podcast and just be like, is this true? Is this not true? But God, I mean, there's so much information on there. Like it's what I thought was cool. I tried to actually look for your music on Spotify.
Oh no.
Do you have? I see the Let It Go. Is that your song Let It Go? Your singles Let It Go and Speechless peaked at number 31.
My winning single was called Alive.
Yes. Ooh, debut single Alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
October 2005.
So the math of that is that's 20 years ago. 20.
I was 3.
Almost, bro. You were but a babe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was 2.
Yeah. Crazy.
Sorry.
What are you sorry for?
Sorry to drop
To remind me of my
your age.
elderly age.
You're not, but you're not though. Yeah, sorry. Anyways, I'm just gonna drink my tea over here. Sorry about
You're
that.
so old. Anyway, welcome.
But you were 16,
I was.
16, 17 when that was dropping.
Yeah.
How big was your school?
I don't remember.
Did you notice, because you were still attending school, you were a junior?
Yeah, we don't call it that in Canada. I was in the middle grade. I was a sophomore. Sophomore?
10th, 11th? 11th. So what was that like coming back to school?
This is a great question. It was super weird.
Yeah.
It was super weird. And I got to say, there is somebody, oh my God, I almost said it's Miles Penn, but it's not. His name is Miles. His name is Miles, but with a Y, and his last name is something else. And his mom, I think she was a guidance counselor or a teacher at the school. I don't remember right now, but I remember in like interviews after I had already come back to school, I talked about how hard it was because some of my friends, like it wasn't cool to like be like, yeah, good job. It was not cool. And it was
for them to give you support.
But this is the thing. It's like, it wasn't cool for my friends to give me support, but all of like the people who I thought were the cool kids in school, they were so down with it. And they were so nice and welcoming. And all of a sudden they like even knew who I was, which I was like, I didn't even know you knew that I was in the school, you know? And at the time I definitely had an orientation that didn't see the light in things. And so much later when I was being interviewed, like, what was it like going back to school? And I was like, it sucked.
Yeah.
Like my friends didn't want to talk to me anymore. I have this one like heartbreaking moment where I called out to my friend because she was walking out of the school doors and she turned around and she looked me dead straight in the eyes. And then she was like, and she turned away and it was so weird. And I didn't understand why. And it was, yeah. Anyways, but what I want to say and rectify at this 20-year later date is that I had a ton of support coming out of the school. Like there were a whole bunch of people, and they were strangers to me, like people who I didn't even know, even though I had been at the school for 2 years. They were super stoked for me and like supportive, and I wasn't able to appreciate it or like lock into the positivity of that at the time. I was just focused on the fact that like the people who I thought were my friends were all of a sudden not wanting to talk to me anymore. And I was hurt. My feelings were hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was weird going back because I had to finish school in like an isolated practice room in the band space.
What did you have to do? What?
Well, because I went on tour afterwards, and I opted to not have a tutor on tour because I was like, there's too much going on.
Oh, to like...
I went back to like finish school.
Okay,
yeah. And when I went back, it was just weird.
Yeah.
It was just really weird. Yeah. I didn't look back. I was like, well, school.
Yeah.
But now I really mourn the loss of that time because I feel like those of you who have gone to school and gone through that system, what you miss when you don't go through that is network and community that you come up with. Like the fact that you just reconnected with your friend from college in Iceland randomly and hadn't seen each other for what, did you say 5 years?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And you're both like into the same things. You know, you both are passionate enough about it that you went to, you know, secondary education for it. Is that how you say that? Secondary education.
College. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't
secondary.
Anyway.
Later college.
Later school. That you miss that when you kind of exit the academic process. So I do miss that because I see a lot of people that have that kind of community. They're like, oh yeah, I went to school with them. I'm just like,
right.
I didn't go to school with anybody.
Right.
I just like entered the workforce, you know?
Yeah. From the age of 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I was 17 on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's well, and the other thing, like, I think the perfect high school experience is so unique to like a specific group of kids. Like I never had any school experience until college.
Really?
Oh.
No. Really?
Oh no.
I feel like you're so popular.
No.
Like you have the gift of gab.
Oh my God. I was so anxious my entire high school
About what?
career. Is that what is that what we call it? About like, oh my God, I mean, if you really want to get into it, it was like, I just did not feel at home in any room. It was really hard. And I had my one good best friend. His name was Patrick. I had a friend William. I had a couple other like, I mean, I found my home when I went to the theater.
Yeah.
But those kids were never like the popular kids, so I couldn't hang out with them.
They weren't?
No, the theater kids.
Oh, I thought.
And
Damn, I was a theater kid.
Yeah. Well, also my school had a graduating class of 70 kids.
Oh, wow.
So we had a small school. But gosh, I mean, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved, I mean, I'm sure a lot of kids would. I would have loved to leave it all, to go work and to go do something. And that was the plan for a long time. I was like, I'm going to drop out of school and go to LA to go be an actor.
Wow.
And that my parents were not on board with that. Obviously, I think most parents would not be on board with that.
I mean, but look at you now. They must be so proud.
Wow. Now it's
not even
now
that. It's not even that much later.
No, it's not.
You've made quick tread. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks. No, it's cool going back. I was just there a couple days ago. Do you ever get to see your high school people? Do you ever go back and hang out? You were just in Canada the other day.
No. I mean, I don't even know. I'm not even, the high school reunions and stuff like that, I wouldn't even know where to begin to find that.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not connected to that space. I have a best friend that I went to high school with, and we've known each other since we were like 4. We were in like pre-K together. Stacy Johnson, shout out. She's amazing, and she has like a husband and kids and a thriving career, and we kind of like intermittently chat, but we haven't. Yeah, I feel like the friends of mine right now that are super solid are ones that I made when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like we're definitely gonna be homies for life.
Yeah. Where were you in that point in life where you made those solid friends?
I was at the beginning of my television journey. Yeah, I was on my first television gig.
Manor.
Yeah, it was my first television gig, and it was also like they were also coming up in their way. So it's kind of like my version of college, where it's like I locked in with the people who were also like, "This is cool," and we were like coming up together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go to college?
No. I started working like out of high school.
So you did your tour.
I did my tour.
And then did you go, was that when you started doing theater? You went into...
I have a 1 to 2 year journey of being in an 8-piece funk band called God Made Me Funky, and we would like do.
Oh wow!
We would do gigs. We did a lot of weddings. We performed at the Olympic Village, and we thought it was going to be like the hottest shit. We were like, oh hell yeah! I made like T-shirts for our tour, and we were like in the van and everything, bussing around, and we're like, we're going to the Olympic Village. That's the recycling collection. Don't forget to recycle. And when we got there, we're just like, we're ready to go, party people. But we were in the Athlete Village, which is like the super cool lounge area where all the athletes go to relax with their iPads and their laptops. They don't want to party. They don't want an 8-piece funk band. They don't want the saxophone guy. They don't want the rappers. Like, it's a lot. We had 3 vocalists. We had the rapper, we had the male singer, we had the female singer, we had horns. Like, it was a full thing.
Yeah.
So it was not the hot shit that we thought it was going to be. But it was a great tour. We had a lot of fun.
Those are the Olympians.
Yes.
You were performing to the Olympians.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
But for the most part, just a lot of weddings and like a lot of this in the crowd.
Yeah.
I got a feeling.
with funk.
Hell yeah.
I got a feeling.
Yeah. It was so good. Yeah, that honestly was an incredible time. I really enjoyed that. I love performing live. And then And it doesn't exactly like pay a lot of money when you're grinding like that. And so I was also trying to suss out like what to do, and there was an audition for a musical theater show, and that was, or no, my first Dirty Dancing audition was because they were having a hard time finding the female singer, and Bob Foster, who was the musical director, reached out and was like, would you come in and sing? And so I sang, I booked that job. That was like 18 months in the musical theater business, and then I did a bunch of regional theater after that. And then I auditioned for a show at the Stratford Shakespeare Festival. It was Jesus Christ Superstar. And that was slated to move to Broadway. And then that was the first time I was doing Broadway in the ensemble. It was incredible.
So you got moved.
Yeah.
You got moved.
At the time, it was the biggest Canadian cast that had just like almost transplanted in its entirety from Canada to the States. We had our out-of-town off-Broadway time at La Jolla Playhouse. Super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was epic.
That's fucking sick.
It was fucking sick.
That's my fucking headphones keep going out. Well, pulling people from another place and then dropping them in New York is cool.
Yeah.
And apparently it's like
30 people.
Hard to do. It's like
they don't do it anymore. It's too expensive.
It's too expensive.
Just hire new people.
The people, yeah. That's what was going to happen with Fatherland.
Yeah.
They were going to hire new people.
No way.
Oh yeah. And then the director's like, well, then we're not doing the show. And they're like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
So he vouched for us.
Good.
Which was awesome. So then did that.
You were incredible.
Thank you.
In Fatherland. I was so happy to see you shine and do your thing. Yeah, it was epic. I'm just, and I love that part of your journey and your story, and I'm sure all your listeners know it. Have you done your vlog about that?
About Fatherland?
About telling the story of like you flying and,
Nope.
Oh,
see, that's a good episode.
That's an excellent, don't do that here, because that deserves its own episode. That's a serious origin story for Patrick.
Like the flight between.
Yeah. Like how you were discovered or how rather you like stuck yourself into it. Yeah. That whole thing.
Yeah. You're talking about the very beginning, like how I got to LA. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's great story.
That needs an episode.
I thought you were talking about when I had to fly back between 8 shows a week to shoot episode 16 or shoot episode 9 when you fire me, when you get me fired.
Rude. Me, Lucy. That's rude.
Yeah, sorry. The amount of threats I get on my comment section. If you hurt Lucy. So, yeah,
Poor
you know.
thing. What is that like, by the way? Because there's a part of our brain that goes, that's not me. But there's a part of our brain that goes, that's my face.
Yeah.
That's my face. Those are my acting choices. It's not me, but those are things that I did, and you have a lot of opinions. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's pretty easy for me to just like, I just laugh and go, yeah, you know.
I made you feel something. Good.
I mean, yeah, I like it. Do you get affected by it at all?
You know what? I can't say that. I mean, I must. I think I am currently going through something with regards to the audience's opinion and how I'm receiving it. And I haven't quite figured out how to talk about it. And I feel a little bit of anxiousness because I'm going to this con. I leave for this con in 3 hours. And I am nervous about fielding questions because the thing about fans, especially those that are invested enough to engage with it on a regular basis on the internet, like they're spending their time and their energy to do this, they pay attention and they care. And so they're not people that you can lie to.
Yeah.
You know, because they're paying really close attention. And that's actually one of the first time I encountered that with consumers of television content was with Dark Matter. And I loved it so much because I was like, they're so nerdy. They're like, okay, so when you were using the time travel machine, what type of technology do you, and you're like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But also when you're dealing with a show that doesn't have all of these like sci-fi stuff, you're just dealing with like human engagement and matters of the heart, you can't bullshit them.
Oh God.
You can't lie. You can't lie as an actor. You can't lie in the content because they sniff it out and they got shit to say about it. And I love that. I love that people are passionate. And at the same time, you know, we're straddling worlds.
Yeah.
We're also fans of content and we're also inside of it. And so there's like a line to walk. It's a narrow path, but it's important to still be authentic and true and politically correct and polite.
Yeah.
You know, so there's lots of things to juggle. And so I do feel a little nervous about that. So to answer your question in a huge roundabout way, when it comes to social media and people's opinions about what you're doing, does it affect me? I think it affects me to the extent that when I am called to be in environments where I have to respond, I pause and I want to respond thoughtfully in a way that is true and also mindful of the very particular space that I occupy.
Yeah. I think the attention to detail that some of the fans have, or even some of the reporters,
Yeah.
it's bizarre. I did press.
Do you think it's bizarre?
Oh my God, yeah.
I kind of love it.
I know.
It elevates everything because it makes you go, oh, they're watching.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're
it
paying
does.
attention. So now I'm
That
gonna make
scares
sure
me.
that
That scares me.
But it makes you want to be better. It makes you want to do it better because
Yes.
they're watching, really watching.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because when I think of like Han Solo or I think of Indiana Jones, you know, I'm a nerd when it comes to that. And I know the little, like, I can ask, if I could sit down with Harrison Ford and go off about Indiana Jones and be like, listen, man, in Temple of Doom,
Yeah.
when you,
Sorry.
you know, and,
Yeah.
and when you crack that whip out for the first time. So when they're asking, I did my first press like 3 days ago on Zoom.
How was that?
And that was super interesting. This is how I can relate to, you know, they didn't ask me to come to Paris.
Do you need a con agent? I've got somebody for you.
I'd love a con agent.
Yeah, we gotta get you out to Paris, bro.
Yeah, I'd like to go. Yeah, after I saw Derek was going, I was like, well, I guess that means I'm not a series regular.
No, that's not connected to the show at all. It's a con agent that I hooked everybody up with.
Melissa,
I'm sorry.
we still have 4 hours.
I didn't even know you were interested in doing that. You're like globetrotting all the time.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Okay, well, next year.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
Next
do that
Paris.
as soon as we're done. I'm gonna.
I would love to do that. Okay, anyways, these reporters are like reporters. I mean, they're all fans of the show, and they were asking questions about Seth Ridley as if he's a real person.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by their
Specificity.
Yes. These questions about, you know, his relationship, the premeditated thought. He like, does he seek? Who is the first person? I think one of the questions was, who is he going to make amends with first when he comes back? With Lucy, with Miles? And I was like, oh my God, you know, and when I turned the Zoom off, I went, he's not even real, you know? But thinking about it more and hearing what you're saying, it's so important. These people, they don't grow up. They don't watch Patrick Keleher. They watch Seth Ridley.
Yeah.
And they watch Lucy Chen. And that is so cool. I mean, that is my job. That's the world I get to create. And I realize right now, that's the service.
Yeah.
You know, that's these people the people that come to the conventions and they sit and they love these characters. I love Indiana Jones. Like, that has done so much for me.
Yeah.
And it's hard as an actor sometimes, especially in the early stages, of like, what am I doing?
Yes.
What's my service?
Yes. Well, yeah, because it can feel really vapid. You're like, I'm not doing anything important with my life. I'm on like this.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you receive, and listen, sometimes I understand that people can sometimes like look at all of these things, it's like it's like parasocial relationships, whatever, and that exists as well. However, all of us have gotten to this place, I would like to hope, because we take it seriously and we care a lot. So why would we wrinkle our noses at other people who recognize that sincerity and that effort and then reflect it back and go, I care. I
Yeah.
care and I take this seriously too.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you be surprised if all of a sudden they feel differently or whatever?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's like a really strange paradox that I see in this industry, where it's like the person who's making it gets to be super earnest, really devoted, very disciplined, but God forbid somebody receive them with that same type of vigor, which is so strange to me, you know, because they are the reasons why we get to do what we do, is because their eyeballs are glued and they care and
Yeah.
they're invested and they keep coming back. And that is worthy of honoring in the right spirit, you know? And that's not to say to like cater to all of it, but to not like shirk it off as like, you're weird.
Yeah.
You know, because we do the same thing with it. We care.
Yeah.
People lose sleep keeping our show churning and moving, you know? And I like to think it's because it's not solely because of the paycheck. I like to think it's because they're passionate and they care about it and they care about doing it properly.
Yeah.
You know? So I lost my train of thought about where I wanted to go with that, but
Yeah, don't worry. That's, I think the passion behind, yes, please. When in doubt, more tea.
no, I mean, for sure, always, always, always. But you were going to say the passion behind, thank you.
The passion behind film and TV, and not having, you know, worrying about the business, finding the fine balance between the two. The fans are a perfect example of who we're representing. You know, I'm really scared. I love Tom Cruise. I think Tom Cruise is a great example of how we need to of how we can revitalize the film industry. But I'm losing my train of thought now too.
Yeah,
Where I was going with that, I was like right in the
How do you feel he's revitalizing the film industry? I don't follow him, so I'm not
Yeah.
privy to that stuff. You're much more savvy about that space than I am.
Yeah. Well, Tom is a huge theatrical release guy.
Yes.
And Tom, he's always doing his stunts. One of the, you know, the great marketing thing, and Florence Pugh just did this. I love Florence Pugh. The great
Who doesn't?
marketing. Well, no, just what makes a film sick. Practical stunts, right?
Sure.
And like, look, I jumped off of this building.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh jumped off the building, and Tom Cruise is always doing his own stunts. He's always up on the plane. I mean, that's the billboard, him on the yellow plane. He's just, it's tough. It's finding the in between, because the socials are really important. We spend 33 billion hours every single day, the globe does, on YouTube TV.
Wow. Fascinating.
And YouTube
That's a crazy stat.
pushed beyond any streaming service. So more people are on YouTube than any other platform. And it's kind of like what happened to theater when, I think it was 1818, when the first movie was released. And they were watching the train come through, and they were like, uh-oh, all the theater actors. And then the same thing when sound came about, when it was all silent, and then sound kicked in, and they went, psh, that's going nowhere. So Tom Cruise, I think, is just such, you know, he is the movies. He is that. I don't want to say he might be the last movie star. We have Chalamet, and we have Florence Pugh, and we have Zendaya, and all these people. But where do we go from here? with the socials and the influencers and the Logan Pauls. I mean, I think Logan Paul is
Oh my God. I did not expect to hear his name today.
I know, and it's crazy. Like, but Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, those
Right.
guys, I mean, Logan Paul's doing WWE.
Yeah.
I bet you he could probably pick up a movie contract whenever he needs.
Wow.
That is the direction that we're going with the TikTokers being cast. Do you ever see any things about any of those TikTokers being cast for the TV shows? You ever see that?
No, but listen, I will say with regards to our industry and social media, like I've seen it in casting situations. Now, this isn't always going to be the case because there are a lot of casting people and creators who are like, I really could give two shits about your social media. That still exists.
Yeah.
That world still exists. However, you get into these bigger budget things, and I've also seen these breakdowns as well, and like AI is being utilized in every single way, including in casting processes, to break down the value of a person. And the value of a person absolutely is boosted by their social media or whatever their reputation is online. It might be minuscule, the actual benefit of those things, but as far as like being an executive making a decision, any extra amount of material that's in front of them they're able to go, oh yeah, there's some extra value for that person.
Yeah. If it comes down to like, I don't know which one to pick.
I've heard from my director friends where it's like they would prefer to have one actor and then somebody above their head goes, yeah, but this person has blank many followers. And that is absolutely one of the reasons why I play the game, because I'm like, if that's the decision between me and another person, I may as well.
Yeah.
I may as well do it because it's like, why not? You know, if they're just looking at numbers, I can do whatever I want with my social media. But if they're just like, oh, this person's got 500 versus a million or whatever, you know, then fine. I'll play the game. I don't play the game all the way that my team would like me to, but that's one of the ways that I will do it and use it as a tool, you know.
What's all the way that your
getting
team
a
wants you to play?
publicist and like really like going out there. But my brain and my take on all of that is like, unless you have something to sell, like unless you're really out there selling, because you really can't do an introduction like that lots of times, I don't think.
Yeah.
You have like one shot to really like pop out.
Yeah.
And so unless you have something to really sell, what would I do? Like hire a publicist for a significant amount of money because they're not cheap, you know, and go, I am one of the ensemble members in the 8th season of The Rookie.
Right.
Like, that's not a valuable use of your resources and your time and your efforts and your big moment to come out, you know?
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could do that with Frick, with the movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. When your podcast, when you write your book, you know, all that stuff. I could see you being a multi-hyphenate. You already are.
Well, yeah, I just want to be the greatest creator I possibly can.
You're well on your way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, gosh. Well, and then
You're like, yeah, I am on my way.
well, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's tough to be an influencer, follow the influencer content creator path while having the like me. I'm breaking into it. Like I try to follow your footsteps. When I first came on the show, when I first came on the show, I watched what you did, how you create how you cultivated your social media, and I went, oh my God, that's so important. And then I also went down the rabbit hole of looking up all the top actors on Instagram, and they don't. Some of them, a lot of them.
Most of the top actors don't even do that shit.
Don't even do that shit. And I go, well, wait a minute. What the fuck? So do I just not? Do I let universe do its thing? Stop trying to get my fingers in the pie? But also I create shit all the time. So like that's just what I do. And like you said, you make it, you what did you say? It is what you make it.
Yeah, and you gotta like follow what like stokes that internal creative fire.
Yeah.
And if the muse is showing up and being like, I want you to make a video about this, and you're like, all right, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because I do think, I don't know a lot about that, but my understanding about like that creative spark, that entity that we call the muse, you know, when it requires courtship. You can't, like, when she comes a knocking, you can't just be like, cool, yeah, let me get to you in a minute, you know?
Yeah.
It's a relationship that requires building, and I really feel like you're in this space where you're just like, every time she comes around, you're like, all right, cool, yeah. I can't tell you how many ideas that I have that are on this, like, weird hoard pile in the corner of the recesses of my mind that I haven't tended to, that are good ideas,
Yeah.
but because of my ADD or my inability to be disciplined about it and to really see it through, like I just have all of these things that are just like sitting in the back going like, they're like shriveling, you know, and the
Yeah.
muse is like, I don't know what you want me to do about that.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's good to put out as much as you can, especially because like you're young and like all of these things are just proof of your capacity.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think it's ever lost in that way. And it's a different time, like becoming that movie star that doesn't have any type of social media presence. I think that is a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
It's amazing if it can happen like that, absolutely. But I do think in the sea of people that are out there at this point in the game, I do think it's valuable if people are able to check you out.
Yeah.
But that's just me, you know. I think listening to that intuitive voice that says, yeah, I resonate with that and that's not for me, that's also really important too, because there's a million different ways to do all of this.
Right.
That's the beautiful thing about this industry. You can do it any way you want. You could go to school, you could not have finished school,
Yeah.
and still end up in the exact same place.
Right.
So that's a trip. But doing what feels resonant to you is probably, I think, the most important thing. It's like, it reminds me of like Donnie Darko, you know, when there's like all those different like life paths, like all the different timelines, like generating from the same part at the center of your chest, and you just have to choose one. But you could do it that way. You could do it this way. You could do it that way. You could do it this way.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Is that scene where he's in the hallway and he's got all the doors?
I think so.
Is that-
it's like
yeah.
near the end of the film.
Yeah.
Spoiler. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and then I always think about like, well, I would have never known about the painter if he never put it on his socials. I
Yeah.
never would have known that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a new world. I do think it is a lottery ticket to be able to do that. And you know, most recently, I was up for the Hey Mitch movie. Did I tell you about that? Yeah.
No.
What?
Cool.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is actually, this was crazy.
Okay.
This was a whole journey of emotions. This was my
The
first
audition or your journey with the audition?
my journey with the audition. I started, we were, you know, I was doing Fatherland at the very beginning. This was before Rookie. And my buddy, best friend from high school, his name's Patrick as well, he called me and he said, dude, I just saw an Instagram post that they're making the Hey Mitch movie. You should audition for it. And I was like, dude, okay. And I called my agent and I said, hey, I hear about this. Can you look into it? And then a week later, they get back to me and they say, it's way in the future. Don't, like, we got you. We called the casting director. We're going to get you an audition, but way in the future. I was like, okay. So then a couple months go by and I'm at closing weekend of Fatherland in Los Angeles before we go to New York. And this woman comes out with these big old glasses. And she comes up and she says, "You're so good. You're so good." And, thank you. And she walks off, and I'm talking to everybody else, and then I see her out of the corner of my eye. She's like, and she comes running over, and she goes, "Is your agent Rhode Island?" And I was like, "Yeah." Did you call me a couple months ago about the Hey Mitch audition?
Oh.
And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. She was, I'm the casting director for that movie.
Ooh.
So now I'm like, oh, okay. She just sat with me for 2 hours in a theater.
Wow.
You know, how cool is that?
That's very
and
cool.
then she grabs me and she pulls me in really close and she says, I swear to God, Patrick, you walked out on that stage and I leaned over to my husband and I said, that is Hey Mitch. And I went, get what? No. And she starts shaking me and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to be Hey Mitch. and she says, just wait a couple months. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for your performance. And she walks off. So now I'm like
buzzing high as a kite.
Oh my God. And months and months and months go by. Finally, the audition, the breakdown gets sent out. It's going to be an improvised audition and it's on Zoom. And I do all this prep, I'll watch all the movies over again, sit down with my Hey Mitch character for weeks. And here we are. And the Zoom pops up and I get in and she's so gracious. She's such a nice lady. And I do my improvised thing. The scenario was Hey Mitch gets off of the train and meets the reporters for the very first time. Go. And I do my thing. I get off. Thank you so much. And it was 2 to 3 minutes of almost 6 months of preparation. And then, about a month goes by. My manager calls me and says they're going to go with somebody bigger than you. And that's a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
When it comes to what we do. And that cast was just announced. That kid was just announced, and he's an Australian. Those goddamn Australians.
I know, those Aussies.
And it's not meant to be. That's not my thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have more followers.
What's for you will not. I'm dead. Yeah, what's for you will never miss you.
Right.
And that's so true. And I actually think that is. I am so heartened to know, like in my heart, that you understand that. Especially because you're at this beginning point and you're so young. Like it really makes me feel good that you understand that whatever's for you is going to happen for you and what's not is just not. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people really struggle in this industry because they don't understand that. And will like mourn and do the what ifs like endlessly, and it's just a part of the gig.
Yeah.
Like a big part of the gig is not seeing things as rejection. They're just it's just like a different path. It's like, oh, that's not the road I'm walking. Your Google Maps is like, not that way. And you're like, my bad.
Right.
I thought I was, okay, we're going this way. And that's totally fine.
Yeah. It's really easy to also trick yourself into that is meant for me.
For sure.
Like, basically, I need that. And that's another huge, like,
no, you
so
don't
many
need
mystics
shit.
will tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Especially when you walk into a room, I think that's another. We don't go into rooms anymore. We're all self-tape. But like, you don't need.
I prefer self-tape.
Well, yeah, I love a good self. I mean, I've never done an in-person audition.
Wow, that's a trip.
The only in-person audition I did was for Fatherland. And Dirty Rotten Scoundrels in sophomore year. But yeah, I mean, God, that's so tough. To sit there and especially like manifesting that experience. I'm sitting there because it was going to shoot in Germany. I'm sitting in Germany. I'm with my girlfriend in Germany. And it's not meant to be.
How did you go through like a mourning process for that? Did you have to let it go energetically?
Yeah, it was a slow burn. It really tipped over. Was I on my way back from Iceland? I was on my way back from Iceland 4 days ago.
Out?
When I found the kid, when I saw the kid, because it popped up on my Google News.
Yeah.
And it showed Woody Harrelson and this kid.
Damn.
And that's when it really hit. That's when I went, look at who he is. Look at what I could have been. That could have been my face. But it's this or something greater for the higher good, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so tough.
Yeah. What is that one prayer? If it's in service to my highest good and the highest benefit for all life everywhere, may it be so. You know, I love that.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's juicy. It's like hand it over.
Yeah.
Hand it over.
So, switching gears,
Yes.
what are some things, your creative process, how do you go about doing your prep work for your characters, anything? How do you relate your art into, do you relate it into your spirituality at all? How do you go about that?
Well, listen, this isn't an original thought, but like acting is the most epic exercise in empathy. You know, can I fully immerse myself in another person's perspective and then respond as honestly as that person might, given an imagined set of circumstances? Can I be so firm in my concentration of that experience that all I have to do is just hold firm to all of the imagined constructs out here and internally, and then behave naturally? So I'm just holding firm to the structure and then just do what the do.
Yeah.
I said do. So I really listen, I think there's a really big challenge in living with a character for an extended period of time, because the boundaries kind of get a little blurry, especially if it's somebody that is not too much of a departure from an aspect of yourself. You know, I do find that for the most part, characters, it's really rare to come across a character that is like fully well-rounded the way that you are.
Yeah.
You know, so characters end up just kind of being like an aspect of yourself that hopefully you can access with honesty.
Right.
Which is why it's very important to have a life outside of acting, a rich and full life, so that you have more crayons to color with.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I always get a little bit nervous when there's a scene that requires me to be upset or angry, and they're just like, let loose. And and the director will come over and be like, I want you to get really mad now. I want you to yell. And I'm like, do you? I'm a July Cancer. We're not fun when we get upset. Like, we're pretty icky. And so I always get nervous showing that side of myself. And at the same time, I think that's one of the more beautiful aspects of acting is that's a spiritual practice. That's not so much for what is being delivered, but as far as like the internal aspect, like, can I suspend any part of me that is attached to how I'm perceived so that I can be purely honest? And if that ends up looking ugly, I'm not thinking about it. Can I just fully be in a moment and not think about what it looks like and understand that what it looks like is somebody's job, somebody else's job?
Yeah.
My only job is to behave honestly. And if you're really good at your craft, also thinking about what it looks like.
Yeah. Right.
You know. But yeah, as far as preparing, I have the most fun when I'm preparing something new. That's why I love auditioning. Like, I love the crash course into like somebody that's completely different and you have to flesh out their entire background. And like, I love harvesting, like combing through whatever the miniature bit. And if it's a well-crafted scene, there's so much unsaid that's just there, like waiting to be brought out in your mannerisms, in a simple glance. Like, there's so much to be harvested from that source material if it's written well.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I've had some really juicy auditions recently where you can just tell, like, even if it's just like a simple word, like, well, why was she so curt with that person just there? You
Yeah.
know, what's that about? Or
Yeah.
was it curt? Or is the fact that they are being so simple in their language because there's a beautiful shorthand, and it's because they're actually quite close. They don't need words to talk. You
Right.
know, like I love playing in that way. And I think something that is nice about being in a character that has been around for 8 years, which is a wild blessing, is that you start to have a shorthand with your scene partners, you know? And that's always sweet to like know them, know how they are when they're acting. And the more familiarity there is there, it can breed contempt. But what is happening on our show, I think, is like a safety.
Yeah.
There's a safety there that allows us to be intimate in all of the different ways.
Yeah.
You know, like I even feel like with our scene, which they kind of, I've only seen clips of it on the internet right now, but like they snipped in a whole bunch of stuff. But I really
Do
feel
you not watch? You don't watch them.
you can cut that out.
Mark it.
No, I mean, it's fine. Sometimes, and sometimes not. I mean, this just aired the other night. I don't watch them live. I should at least run my Hulu in the background. Anyway, I don't have a TV. You've been to my house?
Yeah. That's crazy.
I should have a television for.
Well, Nathan doesn't watch. Nathan doesn't watch him. At least that's. Well, he's like. Sometimes.
It's a lot. Yeah. But what I mean to say is, what I was trying to get at there is, I feel like because you and I had the rapport that we had, like where we started when we first started working together, like our internal rapport as actors was, I don't know if you noticed it, but for me, it was very different from day one to where we landed.
Yeah.
And I think that why we were able to, I don't know, like I felt like I was able to like rip into you there because there was like trust and intimacy, familiarity, you know? And I think that's important. Building rapport, it's a part of our job is building rapport with people so that not only do we feel that we can be completely honest, but we also help and evoke that from the other person. That's important. Because if they don't feel safe, then what are they going to do? Just stay on your coverage? Like, that's not going to work. It's going to look totally weird. Because now you're not responding honestly. If your love interest doesn't feel comfortable
Right.
to be fully there with you, then you have to respond to what they're giving you, which is potentially that they're not in love with you.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. It's interesting hearing you talk about your journey, where you were when we first started shooting versus our relationship towards the end. Because I was, being my first TV show, I was so, especially watching myself, I realized how stressed out I was.
You were?
Oh yeah. I mean, and anybody can imagine, first day on the job, first like season. I think I slowly got comfortable, but
Perfect energy for your part, by the way.
yeah, thank God. I wasn't like, I really wanted Derek's part. I really wanted to be Miles Penn and to walk in and be like, "What's up?" But I don't know if I could have done that. I'll do this with specific people doing self tapes, where there's a whole psychological aspect that opens up, and I can relate to what you're saying in that sense when I'm doing a fucking kick-ass self-tape, especially with this girl named Jenna Lamb, my buddy Cade Gilroy, but then some people, those people aren't available, so you got to go with another person.
I have a great reader in LA that I'd love to pitch you later.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, they're great. And their studio's amazing. I go in there, I always knock it out real quick. If you go in there like fully prepared, like they're just so amenable and awesome.
That's awesome.
Because here's the other thing. It's like you want them to act, you want your self-tape partner to act a little bit, but they can't act too much. Like you need to be the color on, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with like, God, there's just some you just don't get. Like
yes.
There's some, and God, it's brutal, but
Finding a good self-tape reader.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
It's fucking important.
It's really important.
And it can kill your tape.
Yeah. It can ruin it. Timing is everything.
It's
Timing, rhythm, like, oh my God.
and your energy that you have with a
Rapport.
person. Yes.
Yes.
Fuck, it's so crazy. But yeah, how do you memorize lines?
So this is going to sound so, I'm not trying to be pedantic. I really make sure I know the scene.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that I know the words. I know what the scene is.
Yeah.
I know what's happening in the scene. I know what's happening for other people in the scene, at least what's on the page. And if I understand that, then even if I miss a word or something, and it's not like expositional important information for the audience, at least for the gist and the rhythm of the scene and the fact that we are working on a show that goes, even if I miss a word, if the essence of it is there, I really try to be word perfect, but if the essence of it is there and I miss it just by a smidgen, sometimes I'll be like, that's fine, let's keep going, move on, which is important. But after I know the scene for sure, then I just run it.
Yeah.
I just run it.
What's your timeline look like?
Like how long it takes to do that?
Yeah.
Not long. But I think that's because it's like a muscle that can be strengthened.
Yeah.
And I think it gets exercised rather frequently, and that helps a lot. And also there are times when it's rare, but sometimes it's like, it feels like this hasn't been read out loud. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll get pages and I'm like, somebody wrote this, but they didn't read it out loud. They didn't say it out loud, and you can tell.
Yep.
And so when I've had that experience in the past, I'll definitely kind of be like, hey, is it possible? I use the term naturalize it. It's not a real term, because what our work is to make those things sound natural.
Right.
And so sometimes it'll be a little bit, but for the most
you're
part,
very good at that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Watching how you talk to pretty much anybody on the crew, but like specifically the writers, I think, like with the first time writers as well, or they're on episode 2 or 3, they're still like kind of like, and you're very, you naturalize. But it works, because a lot of the shit we say, we're like, see, I don't have the balls to say that yet. I just will do it, and then Mimi will come around and be like, actually, it's
totally,
and then, but
and it's a little bit of both, right? Like, there's definitely going to be situations where, this actually sounds better. If do you think we could kind of just put it in my voice a little bit more? Like, sometimes it works better to do that, and other times the work is upon us to figure it out. Like, do I need to have a hesitation there to make that sentence make sense? Am I thinking about it before I say it, or whatever? Like, there's a million different ways to make the text work, and that's just another one of our. We were talking about crayons. You got to get a screwdriver in there a little bit.
Yeah.
So like, you naturalize it through your affectation, through your thinking, through one of my classic ones that I do that I probably should do a little less often, but I like is. You do it too, where you kind of like start and then you're like, and you restart, that type of thing, like the little stutter.
Like in a take?
Yeah. It's on purpose. Like, I love that. I love when those things happen, because that feels grounded and real. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good one. It just kind of like makes it feel a little bit more human and helps to suspend that. Because I do think sometimes, it can kind of strip you out of it, and you're like, I'm watching an actor on a television show, when everything is like blah, 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 blah. It's just like perfect,
I've fallen into this zone when I'm watching TV. It started when I was watching Severance. I go,
God, I love Severance so much.
For so many different reasons.
Yes.
And
it's so beautifully crafted.
You could oh my God, you could rewatch it for like 4 different, for the writing, for the acting, for the cinematography.
Oh my God, the design. Incredible.
And then for even like the set design.
Yes.
And like there's so many elements in there. But this go around, I don't know if there'll be another go around. It's tough for me to rewatch even though like it's comfortable to rewatch TV shows, right?
Indeed, yes.
Indeed,
we've heard this.
we've heard
Yes,
this.
yes.
Watching,
On my socials at Miss O'Neill.
Yes, go give her a follow. If you don't,
It's totally fine.
what are you doing?
No.
Where was I going? Oh, with Severance, you watch the actor, and I go, just see what they want, just see what it is that they want, and I really fell into this flow of like watching the actors, not even listening to their dialogue, just watch what they want, and they're so good in Severance. And then I was sitting in a Thai restaurant, and there was the TV up on the screen, and we couldn't hear the audio, and it was some network show. I don't know. And I said the same thing and watched them. What do they want? And they were just talking. It was so bland.
On Severance?
No, it wasn't Severance.
No.
It was just some other show. It was just a different. And you know, the actors. That's not. You have no idea if it's the actor's fault, if it's the writer's fault.
No. I disagree with you.
Yeah?
I completely disagree with you. I absolutely believe this is a conversation I had like in the first season because it's funny because I actually, one of my dear friends who's also an EP on the show, she was like, can you please never say that again? But I was telling Alexi, this is on The Rookie, I was like, I love the scenes where I don't say that much because it's like a playground.
Yeah.
I get to completely decide how I feel about things.
Yeah.
And and she's a girl. She's got a lot of feelings about a lot of things, you know? And having the freedom to just like act without, because language can be confining sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, it can oftentimes dictate what you're thinking and what you're feeling.
Yes.
And when you are just somebody in the scene who's not talking, but you have a rich internal life with a lot of opinions,
right.
like, oh my God, it's so juicy and fun. But my EP friend was like, don't do that. Because I started having scenes with like less dialogue. I was like, I want to say stuff.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking about with your point as far as what you were seeing on this show, I think that it is the job of the actor if there's no sound, if there's nothing going on, your body, when you walk into the room, I should know exactly how you're thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
Including if that is, I'm feeling internal and I don't really like want to be here today, or I don't know what I'm thinking and feeling. That also has an energy. That also has a body language, you know, and it shouldn't require language. Look distracted, you know, like
Right. Exactly.
it's like we're always having our own internal life in every single moment. The only time that we're ever like bogeying out, you know, for those at home, bogey is like a person who is, if you're on a television set, it's like somebody who's standing, they're not on the show and they're just standing there filming. They're like in pause. They're like in a neutral position. They're just like Sims, just like, yeah. That's very rare. So unless you're doing that, you probably have a very rich internal life. You're thinking about something. Nathan, what's the one that Nathan uses? Did I leave the stove on?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the push. Did I leave the stove on? Oh my God, I left the stove on.
No, I turned
it
it
off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I think when it comes to that particular thing, I don't think the onus is upon the writers to correct that. I think that is a part of our work to fill that space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. Yeah. No. So, going forward in your career. Mm-hmm. I know it's always tough to be like, what's next? But what do you, with your world of Melissa O'Neill, what is it that you want to bring forward in your career, in your life, in your message? What are you hoping, big question, what are you hoping to be remembered by when you die?
Oh, interesting. I think, yeah, it's funny. There's an aspect of my Zen brain that's turning on right now, and it says like I won't be remembered, and none of us will, and that's okay. Yeah. Like ashes. But for those that were around when I was around, I hope to be remembered as somebody who was loving and generous and kind. I'm not exactly driven by, I can't even think of what it would be else that I would be driven by. I think it's the most worthwhile pursuit there is. Being a good and loving person and discovering all of the blocks inside of you that prevent you from being that, which is a incredibly uncomfortable journey at times, but some of the best work to do. For any part of us, when we apply ourselves in an industry that is often filled with a lot of beautiful storytelling and creativity and art, but also there's like a shadow aspect of it that's like people get discarded flippantly with very little heart. And that can kind of make you feel like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful place to apply and create. But as far as like what I hope to be remembered by for my life, like I hope to be remembered as somebody who valued this pursuit that I think is like both virtuous and worthy of like one's life force. Yeah, it's good and very hard work and requires more humility than one might have time to cultivate in their life. You know, I think that's why these practices help me so much. And I think they're especially important in an industry that is filled with these extreme highs and lows. And the highs involve people being like, you're amazing. I love you. Like all of that strange stuff that, you know, people aren't immune to, especially because it's like, it's one thing with when people who don't know you say stuff like that. And then it's another thing when people you love and admire and respect say it. And you're like,
Yes.
And you're like, wow, maybe I am kind of awesome.
Yeah.
You know? And like,
Yep.
that's the stuff where you're just like, and exhale, let it go. I am but an ant. I
Yeah.
am a crumb of soil on this planet. And how can I leave it better? And while it is so small and so stupid, if we like bring this full circle to that place where everything can be an act of spirit, can be an act of practice, that is also a way that, you know, you can use your social media,
Yeah.
you know, by putting out love and reminders of how to be loving or how to be more connected to our earth and remember that you are so small.
Yeah.
And you do a really good job of that effortlessly.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love the thought of reincarnation. Where my past life I could have been Charlie Chaplin.
Do you think?
I'm just saying.
Do you know of Dr. Brian Weiss?
No.
Have you read Many Lives, Many Masters? Did I lend you that book?
No. Nope.
I'm going to lend you that book. Long story short, psychiatrist, worked with somebody and like, I think just discovered this client's past lives and it was very bizarre and strange. And he has all these like doctor's notes. It's very particular.
I'd love to do that.
I did one of his meditations once. I was not Cleopatra. I was very poor. I was very poor. It was not a fascinating, I was kind of like, well, I guess that happened. I was a laborer. I was a man. I was a male laborer and I was on a shipping dock just like hauling these huge crates. And when I looked down, my boots were hella old. I'm talking like 1800s. I don't know where I was. Yo,
we got to talk about what
hold on. I'm going to give you the two things. Because
Yeah.
there's two parts of the meditation where they go, the most important moment of your life and then like go to your death. There's these two instructions.
Okay.
Over the course of the meditation. And the most important part of my life in this meditation, and it just like, boop, like goes like this. I was walking my daughter down the aisle to her wedding.
Okay.
And I looked at her like this and she was crying and I felt tears streaming down my face and it was crazy. And then when I booped to the moment of my death, I was in this super dark room and it smelled kind of damp and the ground was kind of like earthen, you know, it was kind of like a compacted earthen floor. And I had this bed, and my wife was on one bed post, one corner, and she was standing there looking at me, and she was crying very stoically, like not moving, but just like crying. And then on the other side was my daughter and her husband. And and I have never felt love like that. It was so weird. Like as I was approaching the gates of like this death of this life, I felt like this pervasive love like through my body. And I never felt anything like that. Like even just, it's really crazy. And what's kind of bizarre is like when that meditation ended, I just like came to laying on my couch and I was like, what the fuck? It was so weird. It was super, super weird. But it's, you know, whether or not it's just like the power of suggestion or what have you, you would think that someone like me would imagine something a little bit more cool for a past life. Something like a little bit more cool.
Yeah.
But it was very humble and normal, like just regular.
Wow.
But like a lot of love, Yeah.
Yeah.
I will send that to you. I think you'll love it.
Well, look at like we spend all this time chasing something.
Yeah.
I love the garbage trucks. We spend all this time
Ashes to ashes.
ashes to ashes, and here we are. That we spend all this time chasing stuff, wanting the big thing, wanting to be big and grand because then we'll feel it, you know? And for something as simple as you're a worker, you're a blue-collared worker, right? And you had this family and your wife and that was enough.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that in your past life, if this guy if the guy, I love it. There he is. He's right there.
Look at the little birdies. I don't know if you guys can see,
Yeah,
but do you
I've
see
been
them?
seeing them land.
Their little
over
yellow
there.
beaks.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is so good. And then there's a squirrel.
Cheep, 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 cheep.
And the garbage man. This guy's the grandson, the
This
great
is the
grandson
orchestra.
of your guy. He's coming and saying hi.
I do think that's why I have like as I'm sitting here right now, I'm like, I wonder if that's why I have such a knowing and attachment to like the idea of familial love. I come from two lone wolf parents. Like they're like, it's us against the world. And by us, I mean like those two against the world, you know,
Yeah.
and it's always been like that. And neither of them were really modeled a healthy, loving, together family unit.
Yeah.
And yet there is something in me that's like, I know that that's real. I know it's possible,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you
Yeah, it's a
do you
trip.
think that in your past life, this guy, that was the most defining moment in his life on his deathbed, where he realized this is it, this is my love?
No, I think that feeling of love was as I was dying. Like as I was dying, I felt like love. And if we want to go there, it'll probably require another podcast, but I think that's what we return to.
Yeah.
Like the vibration of
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
I think that's where we go.
With
And that's it for
and there
Patty's
we go.
Potty.
Patty's potty. do you? I very recently I've been contemplating death a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going to be? So much so that on my plane ride to Iceland, I wrote out all the things I would be most bummed I didn't do.
Hell yeah.
And
Nice.
it's crazy. And it was just a expose. It all came out on this page. It was on the barf bag, which is great. It was me barfing onto the barf bag.
Hell yeah.
And it's crazy. All the things I would regret not doing if I died tomorrow.
Yeah.
On this list, I think there was about 60 items. 2 of them had to do with my career. everything else. One of them was win an Oscar.
Oh.
And the second one was make a blockbuster.
Holy
Everything
shit.
else was like a backpack, a ski expedition in the Arctic,
Hell yeah.
go to the bottom of the ocean, climb all 7 summits, skydiving
Ditch
certified.
those summits. You know, you're risking your life.
I want to so bad.
Have you watched Everest?
Oh yeah,
Dude.
Nims Persia. You know about him? He's do you know Nims Persia? Oh my God, I'm so attracted to that.
Writing your goals down. I don't know if you've seen, look it up, but that is some really powerful juice.
Yeah.
Versus like just thinking about it or even putting it in your phone, like pen to paper. Yeah, go for it.
So then I said, you know, if I showed you the list right now, you'd go, daunting task, you know, the 7, like
you don't know what I'd say.
But I don't know what you say, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like somebody reads you the bucket list and you go, oh my gosh, good luck, darling. But then I took, how many years do I have left? I'd say 80 years. If I live to 102, I've got 80 years left. And I charted that out. I did a graph, 8 by 10. Mm-hmm. And I wrote down every single year, and I put every single bucket list item into this chart.
Nice.
And I've got so much time to do so much more.
Hell yeah.
But just sitting there with, you know, when I'm on my deathbed and my past life of the things, like I don't even remember. Who knows? Like why I said Charlie Chaplin is. Right now we're talking about Florence Pugh. Right now we're talking about Chalamet. We're not talking about Chaplin. Mm-hmm. So why am I so obsessed with the idea of I need to be the best when Charlie Chaplin, most people don't even know who he is anymore. So that could have been my past life and it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It ashes to ashes.
It's fun to think about, but like it's the kind of thing with astrology too. Like that's the beautiful thing about sovereignty or the illusion of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to carve out, you get to choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
That's the juice.
Yeah.
I really like that you wrote that stuff down. That's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's I think it's important to write. You said something about like how it stems something in our brainwave. Mm-hmm. Our neurologically, how writing down versus using our thumbs. What did you say about that?
We should try to find that article and link it in your YouTube post.
Yeah. But, gosh, well, Melissa, this is amazing. You are amazing.
You are.
You've got a wonderful life. You've got a wonderful backyard that is just such a small stem of who you are. But I love being around you, and a lot of times when I am around you, I don't know what to say. I'm always trying to come up with, like, I always want to impress you because I'm so drawn to who you are and your way of being.
Oh, you are very impressive to me, Patrick.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't say that as a form of generosity. I just mean it. I'm not saying it for you. Like, I just mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I just, gosh, you're great. So thank you for jumping on this.
Yeah.
I know you got to get to Paris.
I have to go to Paris.
You got to get to Paris,
Paris. But before we do, and you can cut this, you can flip it back later. But quickly about death, I want to say something about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, first of all, really important, get your advance directive together. Advance directive is basically like if anything happens to you, this is what you would like to happen to you medically. If I cannot advocate for myself medically, if these certain circumstances happen, this is what I would wish, you know? And you also want to make sure that you give that to somebody who you would like to be your advocate in that space.
Yeah.
Especially if you're wanting to do all these risky type things. These are important things to think about because life happens so quickly. You never even know, right? And the other thing is a really special practice is to figure out what your death wishes are. Like, how would you like that to go? And what would you like to have done with your body? You know, sometimes like people don't want to think about that, and that's totally fine. And And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying everybody should do this, but if you feel called to it, I think it's actually a really beautiful and generous thing to offer to your loved ones, you know, so that when that time comes, whenever it does, especially if it were to happen suddenly and shockingly, then they don't have to perform a bunch of labor on top of dealing with their grief. You know, like it's something that you can just have done. It's something that I really want to do with my space. Y'all seen how messy my house is. It's like I would like to do so. I think it's called like Swedish death cleaning. Oh, I might be botching that.
Okay.
But there is a practice where you clean your home in such a way that if you pass, you haven't left like a huge mess for your loved ones to like clean up after you're gone or anything like that. And having money set aside, that's another thing. So it's like if anything were to happen, it doesn't become a financial burden. Death is incredibly expensive. It's wild how expensive it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are all good and sweet things to think about, and they can be fun too. You know, like some people plan full celebrations, and it's really sweet.
Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson. You know his?
No.
He in Colorado, and I drive past his property every day. His thing was the Gonzo Fist. He said he wanted to, when he dies, he wanted his ashes to be shot out of a 150-foot cannon and have a drumming ceremony.
Cool.
And fireworks. And
Hell yeah.
it's amazing. Morgan Freeman carries the price of how much a funeral or his casket would cost on his ears. That his earrings are the price of how much it would cost to bury him if he's somewhere. Just so
that.
If he goes anywhere,
Yeah.
he says it's on my ears. Use that to pay for it, and then my deeds are done.
I love that so much. That's so cool. Yeah, there's this really cool company coming out. I know we have to wrap up, but there's this really cool company that I want to shout out. It's called Recompose, and they are composting. Because there's lots of different ways to dispose of your body, but also like death is kind of a gnarly process for the earth, not because we die, but because of the way that the relationship we have to the way that we lay our bodies to rest. Sometimes they're like pumped full of stuff, put into boxes that are like super lacquered and everything. And then like
I didn't think about that.
There's so many different levels to it. I had one dear friend who is now passed, my dear friend Eric Fink, who passed of throat cancer. For the longest time, he wanted to be strung up as carrion for the birds. That did not happen, but a lot of cultures do that, and that's a whole other conversation. There's some interesting documentaries about that right now. But this company in the States called Recompose, they're super cool, and they basically have a process where they will mulch your body, and then you get spread in this dedicated forest. So it's like when you're walking around this forest, like that is where your person is.
Yeah.
So cool. My dear sister friend, Alexandra Crow, she found this beautiful property where they do natural burials, and she was just in her shroud, and we lowered her into the ground just like that, and like naturally, and there are no tombstones anywhere. It's just like rolling hills.
Yeah.
And if you know where your loved one is buried, like there they are. It's so sweet.
That's pretty special. The traditional tombstone and casket. My brother and I like. It's amazing to hear the creativity of it all. That's. Ashes. There's so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
It's funny. We ended it on death.
And we ended on.
That's where
death.
It all ends.
Very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now on to living. Off camera.
Yeah. Gosh. We're good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Love you so much.
Love you too.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bliss.
Thank you
That was
for doing
awesome.
this.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be the most beautiful podcast setup I'll ever do.
We went all over the place. That was weird.